Welcome back to the Torque Test channel. Recently on the channel we tested the 3/8 Gen 2 mid-torque from Milwaukee versus the 1/2 inch, and the results we showed there were honestly pretty mind-boggling. If you haven't checked that out, do so first, it explains a lot. But that 3/8 M18 was so impressive, we felt it really has become, from the testing we've done, the #1 cordless mid-torque to beat. While our rank chart may not agree, and I'm sure you guys disagree with our rank chart even more often than we do, the Milwaukee is still seated in the #1 spot on the top of our average power rank list, which could give a damn about anything other than the torque impact wrenches make across the course of a test. Milwaukee has the benefit, of course, of offering an HT 12.0 battery option, which we'll be employing today on this 3/8 if we need to, but that's something Makita has not gone down the road of offering to pump out more of those beans. Well, my friends, today Makita believes they have an answer to that. The all-new Makita XGT 40V Max GWT07Z, a 40V XGT version of their already chunky but powerful 18V LXT mid-torque that we liked quite a bit when we tested it. I mean, there's a reason we put it on a t-shirt, guys. The numbers on this new one are on a whole new level when it comes to mid-torques and just impacts you can find at a hardware store in general. While previously the LXT mid-torque's fastening torque was below Milwaukee, and we confirmed that with testing, the XGT's fastening is now rated for 560, or just 10 up on that M18. But where it really stands out is the old nut-busting reverse direction, 810 foot-pounds, excuse me, from a mid-torque. When someone says cordless mid-torques, my mind still goes back to numbers like 450, but 810, are we really there already? But we're not done with the show-stopping numbers. While the LXT flavor of this tool sold for $239, just a tick up from the M18's $219, and can even be found now for $200 or $190 sometimes, which is a steal if you ask us. This all-new XGT model is being sold for $349. That's only $50 less than their 3/4 inch monster, which might be one of the most impressive cordless impacts you can buy right now. But that highlights something glaringly missing. Makita doesn't offer a 1/2 inch XGT high torque. I know this mid-torque is claiming near high torque numbers, but at only $50 step down from that 3/4 inch, is this meant to be that offering? Its model number would imply it. This is the GWT08Z, G being for XGT, and the LXT XWT08Z is their current high torque. It's obviously the most expensive we've ever tested on the mid-torque list, but it would nearly take the crown as the most expensive on our high torque rank chart as well. Only the Chicago Pneumatic at $375 has cost more, and the Ingersoll Rand, which was an absolute beast, was less expensive than this mid-torque? Okay, so you get it. It costs a lot. But for that $100 premium, you're getting Makita's 40V Max architecture. We've gone from thinking, what's sort of the point, to buying the 3/4 inch Makita Impact and saying, oh right, if this is the point, we want some more of that. Then testing the XGT driver and thinking, maybe 18V tools reimagined into 40V are less of a standout, perhaps? Today we're going to help answer that question. Because it's a remake of the XWT17Z, it's still rocking those same chunky dimensions. That 6.7 inches is longer than the Milwaukee mid-torque, of course, but only by less than 3/4 of an inch. It's overall shorter than the Gen 1 M18, but a Gen 1 M18 looks and feels like a lot less junk in the trunk for sure. If you're used to holding a Ryobi P262, the length is not really an issue. We fit this 18V version into most places we've used the M18, but a near pound up on the 3.5 pound M18, you do notice that, although miles better than hefting around most high torques. Can it bring near high torque power though? Let's find out. Our first test is called working torque, 5 seconds of forward beans. Up first is the M18 Gen 2 to take on that 18V Makita. The M18 3/8 will be using a smaller socket to fit this dyno rig because, well, it's a 3/8. Check out that video where we control for this as much as possible. $360 over $315. Quite a gap so far in forward tightening, but equal to the gap these two tool brands advertise. Always nice to see. Now for the 40 volts of Fury, which Makita advertises as matching the M18 or even besting it by 1 or 2% in this type of test. 362 over 360, about the same, which is good news so far, keeping that relationship of power they both claim. But maybe the new Makita XGT is just loving forward torque more. Is reverse going to bring the same beans or more? Our next test should give us some answers to that. It's called Max Torque, a 10-second testing method in reverse that goes back over 50 years in the impact industry. Here's the Makita 18 volt taking on the Milwaukee in a comparison we've yet to show since updating with a 3/8 M18 impact. $427 over $406. That Makita still holding a gap over the 3/8 model so far, but pretty similar curves. Now this is what we've wanted to see from Makita. In reverse, does more money buy you more torque? Let's see it. $470, that's a difference you'd feel already in this test. Very nice. And look at that curve, not coming in late and taking away those gains all the way at the end, but gains across all of the range. If you find a bolt of really any torque level, so far this mid torque is probably going to be taking it off quicker than any other. While the last 18 volt Makita we tested we felt might be the first mid torque to qualify for one of our wrist breaking scores that we give to high torque, this XGT is about the same, if not more balanced feeling, so certainly not worse. Our last test is called best case scenario. Batteries fresh off of that charger, 15 seconds in their preferred direction. Makitas prefer reverse. As a matter of fact, every Makita we've ever tested, including impact drivers, which is rare, prefer reverse quite a bit, something who we working on vehicles like to see. This is how our favorite impact that Milwaukee makes, the 3/8 Gen 2, stacks up to the 18 volt Makita and another side-by-side we've not shown before until now. $502 over $475 with damn near matching curves. Was surprised to see this very graph when we made it, but that Makita coming out at the end, just going to be able to work on stuff that bit more tight than the Milwaukee, lending to its size, I'm sure. What's the same size but claiming piles more torque is the XGT. Here's this last shot to leave us without a feeling of buyer's remorse. $568. Boy, did we test and retest this tool expecting it to falter and fall somewhere on any retest down to 500 where the 18 volt made. After all, we just came off of the heels of testing the XGT impact driver and made some baseless assumptions there that Makita's existing 18 volt tools are wired for 40 volt may not really bring any tangible advantage. So those biases, misunderstandings, whatever you want to call them, led us to really try and search out where this tool might be 18 volt performance wise, but in 40 volt max clothing. But every test we did today, 15 runs total, showed the same story you're being shown here. We're excited to see if that translates into big, tangible, loosening, nut busting gains on other YouTube channels, but for now, we have a rank chart to beat up. Starting down here for now, next to the even bigger and heavier model, the brushed power, the XGT's power runs are turned into points as 36, 47, and 57, not numbers you commonly see in this category at all. It's 6.7 inches long, which we've heard plenty of belly aching about, but the average in this category is 7.1 so far. So yeah, still a pretty damn modern offering when it comes to where you can fit it. That's 84.8 points, a record in this group. On this channel, we tighten in forward and reverse. Makita claimed 560 tightening and it made 568 here today. That's full marks, 100% or 100 points. $349. Yeah, she's not cheap. The average in this group for price is $148. This is more than double your average mid-torque. It gets 24.4 points here, a record low on this rank chart. That totals 349.2, still putting this XGT way out into first place. After all, the way to make more points on this chart is to make more beans here, then here either be short or make enough beans to make up for that. And then over here, be conservative with your claims or just make enough beans to make up for that. And then make enough power that your price is balanced with it. But when it comes to power alone, like regardless of any criteria, Milwaukee sure got some fancy and pricey batteries to help close that gap. Let's take a look at that. Here's the M18 3/8 with an enormous HD 12.0 battery. .517, a decent bump up from 475, more so than the half-inch got, but that does make some sense. We've gotten more peak torque from a 3/8 than out-of-hole performance. What we're looking at here is basically as much money as you can spend to have a mid-torque make power, and power they both do make. The Milwaukee's average power best run gets changed from 413 to 414, essentially the same across the run as a half-inch. I guess that makes some sense. And the new XGT gets 437 foot-pounds per second across the run, again taking the top spot, bumping down the M18, who just got seated there in our standings. From the outset, the XGT mid-torque sort of felt like one of those, okay, throw one of those in there offerings to us. It's not a all-new design, but more of a, if your batteries are already XGT and you need a mid-torque, here you guys go sort of deal, like their impact driver, we feel. But today we saw it make some real gains, and in total some serious power compared to what's out there. It's also some serious coin. $350 is not a price point we've expected to see for a mid-size impact that's not on a tool truck. But we also put it up against the best competition we've found, a Milwaukee Gen 2 with a $250 battery on it, totaling in price near where this tool does with a 2.5 amp hour battery on it. And the XGT came out looking as impressive as ever. We like and prefer that Makita's 2.5 amp hour 40 volt batteries perform better than their more expensive 4 amp hour packs, as we saw in episode 49. The only cost savings you're really going to get to enjoy on an XGT route. But while these tools' shape have always been sort of a bit funky to us, where the body sort of incorporates the battery on the tool, that swivel handle base remains in this design, which we like. And size, well, you may just have to understand Makita is doing things a bit different, and doing it well, we think. The XGT arm of Makita so far seems to be saying to us, well, you don't need a half-inch high torque. All you need is this 810 foot-pound rated chunky mid-torque. And then if that won't do the job, bring in the 3/4 inch that could probably disassemble the Black Gate of Mordor before lunchtime. And that might be something we can get behind, even if our wallets might not be able to. After all, that would mean lugging this around all day rather than this, or this, or this. Not so big at the end of the day if buying a mid-torque means you don't need a traditional high torque. Appreciate you joining us for this one. Click subscribe to not miss the next one. And thanks as always for watching.